the project is about how we can offer to the community opportunities to actually move into worthwhile further training and jobs. And that doesn't mean that the sector has to have every single house being a Learn Local provider. But what it does, it means that we need to work as a sector, not as an individual, but as a sector, and actually look at what we can offer our community so we can actually better pathway them to some of the opportunities about getting a job in the future. And you know your communities the best, and you know some of the issues for your communities. And it's about designing some of the training that might suit the needs of those learners, potential learners, because sometimes they come in and not necessarily thinking about learning because they're coming to your house perhaps for many, many other reasons. But how you might then, having worked with them for a while, see that they actually need to get some skills to actually get them out of the current situation that they're in and maybe move into some meaningful employment. So how do you do that? And it might be that you work together in saying, we're getting a lot of people coming in with these particular needs, and design something around that and actually develop a curriculum that might help them actually develop some skills that might lead to the next stage. So we have a lot of you who are neighbourhood houses who aren't Learn Local. That's fine, but I think it's about saying, well, how can I partner with a Learn Local provider and provide the opportunities of training to my community through better partnerships. And through that, you can actually start to work better as a stronger sector, helping each other, you know, during maybe even when you've got times when you're on leave, you know, there's backups with other houses. So maybe there's those opportunities too. And we were talking the other day at the G21 education training pillar, and a lot of discussion started to talk about how Geelong hasn't got an incubator for new and emerging businesses. So people who really want an environment where they could actually practice their new enterprise. Because that's becoming more and more an area where people are getting employment by setting up their own businesses. We're looking at people coming in from new migrants who are coming in who are not able to get into the job market, but are starting to see opportunities about how to develop something that they have a skill in. Maybe it's cooking or some working with certain products that they might be able to sell. How can I do that and actually get some meaningful employment out of that? So through the G21 education training pillar, we were talking about, you know, wouldn't it be great if Geelong had an incubator where we could have emerging industries to actually have a safe environment to sort of practice on their business. And then we started to say, well, there's some really great work that's occurring in the Learn Local sector around developing an A-frame around how to set up your own enterprises. Because a lot of people really don't know how to do that. And then they've been hooked in, if they want to a NEIS program, which is something that's already happening. And then someone else said, well, actually, there's some really great work that's been done around helping people with their businesses through this particular project. And the more we got talking, there's a whole lot of work going on in the Geelong area around how to help people in their own businesses. Some of it's about training, but some of it's also about funding. Some of it's about actually helping people get a business model together. And there's also that next stage of actually then putting it into practice. And in fact, someone was saying that the boys at St Joseph's, there was a little project there where they actually presented some of their ideas, and people came in and actually took their ideas and actually made a business of it because they didn't know how to take it to the next stage. How frustrating is that? So I think there's some opportunities to work more collaboratively, work together and join up some of those opportunities so we can actually develop something collectively for our community where, in this case, it's setting up your own enterprise. So there are many, many other ideas about how you help people into education, training, and then a job. But that's just one very nice little idea that I thought really resonated for me, because it really showed how if we kind of joined up all the things that are occurring in this community better, we'd actually get a better end result for that learner. So I just want to plant that in your mind. I think that you all are working with the community, and you know the sort of things that would help skill them up. And you all have an opportunity to contribute to some curriculum that might help them take that next step. So even if you're not a Learn Local provider, you have people in your house that come in and actually may need assistance to take the next step in the pathway out of the situation that they're currently in. Now, it might be a job, it might be something else, but you need to sort of think about how you can contribute to actually helping with the education training that they might need in the future. So really that's all I wanted to say. I think there's some great examples of how these things are occurring. I think there's great examples of how people are working collaboratively. See yourself as a sector, not as an individual, that you may have something that's unique in your house that isn't offered elsewhere, but you can actually partner and offer it somewhere else at a different time. That you might run a course in your community, the house next door doesn't, but I can only do so much training for my community in a year. What about me actually offering some training in your community sometimes as well? And I think there's some opportunities that you need to think about.